hitched to the fading star of a disposable periodical. And of course, the elephant in the room was the English. In its early days, US copyright law was non-existent and didn't recognize anyone else's. Publishers were free to take the talents of Dickens, Trollope, and anyone else and freely print it without permission or coin. Competing against that gave you a decided disadvantage. Within these stories, you will also find very occasional examples of historical prejudice. A few words here and there which in today's world some may find inappropriate or even offensive. It is not our intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but to show that the world, in order to change, must reconcile itself to the actual truth, rather than put it out of sight. Context is everything, both to understand and to illuminate the path forward. The author's words are set. Our reaction to them encourages our change. Within this melting pot of styles, genres, and wordplay, one fact stands out. The American short story literary tradition has a strong, vibrant, and almost inclusive history, if you know where to look, which is here.
An Angel in Disguise by T.S. Arthur. Idleness, vice, and intemperance had done their miserable work, and the dead mother lay cold and still amid her wretched children. She had fallen upon the threshold of her own door in a drunken fit, and died in the presence of her frightened little ones. Death touches the spring of our common humanity. This woman had been despised, scoffed at, and angrily denounced by nearly every man, woman, and child in the village. But now, as the fact of her death was passed from lip to lip in subdued tones, pity took the place of anger, and sorrow of denunciation. Neighbors went hastily to the old tumble-down hut, in which she had secured little more than a place of shelter from summer heats and winter cold. Some with grave clothes for a decent interment of the body, and some with food for the half-starving children, 3 in number. Of these, John, the oldest, a boy of 12, was a stout lad, able to earn his living with any farmer. Kate, between 10 and 11, was bright, active girl out of whom something clever might be made, if in good hands. But poor little Maggie, the youngest, was hopelessly diseased. 2 years before, a fall from a window had injured her spine, and she had not been able to leave her bed since, except when lifted in the arms of her mother. What is to be done with the children? That was the chief question now. The dead mother would go underground and be forever beyond all care or concern of the villagers, but the children must not be left to starve. After considering the matter and talking it over with his wife, Farmer Jones said that he would take John, and do well by him, now that his mother was out of the way. And Mrs. Ellis, who had been looking out for a bound girl, concluded that it would be charitable in her to make choice of Katie, even though she was too young to be of much use for several years.
"I could do much better, I know," said Mrs. Ellis. "But as no one seems inclined to take her, I must act from a sense of duty. Expect to have trouble with the child, for she's an undisciplined thing, used to having her own way."
But no one said, "I'll take Maggie." Pitying glances were cast on her wan and wasted form, and thoughts were troubled on her account. Mothers brought cast-off garments, and, removing her soiled and ragged clothes, dressed her in clean attire. The sad eyes and patient face of the little one touched many hearts, and even knocked at them for entrance. But none opened to take her in. Who wanted a bedridden child? "Take her to the poorhouse," said a rough man, of whom the question, "What's to be done with Maggie?" was asked. "Nobody's going to be bothered with her."
"The poorhouse is a sad place for a sick and helpless child," answered one. "For your child or mine," said the other, lightly speaking.